There we go. Now we have mics. Wow. I forgot there was an update. So, updates. Gotta love them, right? Mess with everything you set up. So, as I was saying, good morning, good afternoon. I overslept big time. Big time. I stayed up way too late last night. And you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. So yeah, it's been an interesting week. I meant to play Star Citizen yesterday, but my keybinds and joysticks and everything are all super messed up, so I got to sit down and fix them. So later tonight, I'll do that, and we'll get back to the new player experience with mining, right? So we did hand mining the other day, and while it was fun running around the caves exploding rocks, it's not really worth it in my opinion. You can do bunkers or bounties and in less time make more money. And I'll go over that. I think maybe I'll make a video at the end of the week once we do the rock mining portion of it, and kind of compare and contrast the two. And yeah, because I don't think it was really worth it for the 2 hours of work that I put in and what we made, and then the headaches of using the new and improved freight elevator inventory system. I don't think it was worth it. I really don't. And I'm going to stick with that because, like I said, I really don't think it was worth it. Maybe. That's a hell of a quote there, Cosmic. That's a hell of a quote. So yeah, I don't know, man. Star Citizen is Star Citizen right now, and I don't know I don't really know what to say about it. I try to stay positive, not because I have money invested in it or lost in it. I don't know how to really say it. It's still a game that I wish would be better than it is, and yeah, we'll get into it, right? We'll get into it. I suppose we should do some reacts, and yeah, let's do that. I got a long one. Well, we got a few long ones actually, and we'll get as many as we can get done before I gotta go. The kids will be getting home from school in a couple hours, and the wife's got to run some errands. So I'll have to be dad, right? I have to do the dad stuff today. So let's go check this stuff out, huh? So the first one we're going to do is, I came across this a few days ago. It is from a few months ago, but I guess talking about new player experience, typing in, hashtag new and first time player in some of my in one of my live streams prompted this to pop up in YouTube. So I figured we'll take a look at this and see what this guy has to say. So this is what is this titled? Star Citizen Brutal Review 30 Days Later, is Star Citizen still worth playing? And this is by Steph Lion Gaming. Lion. I feel the quote fits CIG and Chris Roberts to the letter, and it's even spoken right out of Bob's mouth. I mean, yeah, it kind of is, right? So let's see what this guy's got to say. Star Citizen Brutal Review 30 Days Later. Steph, take it away. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's back this up. Are you guys hearing this? Because right now, I don't seem to be picking up anything. Let's see if that works. What is going on here? No sound, huh? Let's try this.
Amen.
There we go.
The same.
Now you guys should be getting sound.
A couple of weeks ago, when I was like 3 days into the game, now I'm over a month. So now let's talk about it again, but this time.
Let's start that over. Sorry about the technical difficulties. There was an update. I had an update on Windows and an update on OBS. I thought I sat down. I did sit down and I thought I had it all worked out. I guess I did not. So this is Steph Lyon and Star Citizen Brutal 30-day review. And we're going to let this man say his piece about Star Citizen.
I have 30 days worth of actual gameplay and experience. After having such a super hyper excited view of the game when I first came in, is it the same after 30 days of experiencing the game during one of the worst events, according to you guys, of the game and its performance? And honestly, I can say after a month, I'm actually still as hyped as day one, or if not even more hyped. It's got to the point where it's like, you know when you go to like the cinema and you watch a really good movie that you really liked, then you go home the next day and you're dreaming about that movie? I'm literally having dreams about my playing session of Star Citizen. But let's actually talk about the game. So the first few weeks when I started, there was a few updates. 2 of them did happen. One of them did.
So I hope he touches on it, because I'm definitely going to touch on it. And that's the game. I don't mean stability. I don't mean bugs. I don't mean any of that stuff. I mean the actual game. And I'll provide my opinion if he decides to touch on it or not. If he doesn't, it's something. Look, it's no secret here that I've taken long breaks from Star Citizen, and I really don't play very often, right? I play a couple of times a month, maybe. I've been playing other games, games like, this is going to get me in trouble, but games like Tarkov, Diablo 2, Marvel Rivals. I'm trying to think of what else. Squad. Red Dead Redemption 2, Cyberpunk, Helldivers, just to name a few, right? Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first one, not part 2.
Meat.
There is something that needs to be said about Star Citizen and the game, the game, right? So maybe he'll get to it, maybe he won't.
Deleted my character and I had to remake my character, but that wasn't a big deal. But then the second one, that's when I kind of lost my money that I had made. But as a new player, I didn't really have much to lose in that sense, and I was still kind of really early on my learning journey. And honestly, it kind of actually allowed me to still sit inside of the early learning phases of the game. And as a gamer, I personally really like learning on my own. I don't really like tutorials or help until I've actually tried something out myself, and I failed multiple times, so I kind of learn what not to do. That's when I kind of go out to seek help. So
he's got a good starter ship
in the early learning stages was really helpful, and I really enjoyed it. But saying that I like to learn things on my own, I don't necessarily mean the fundamental and basics in terms of controls and other things in the game. And when I started playing the game, I was actually given a tutorial to play through, which actually stopped working, leading me to actually go out and figure things out on my own. And for me, my first time was like, oh.
So how long is Blaze? What's up? How long has the player tutorial been out? Almost 2 years, and it still does not work properly. I've never played it because I wanted to, but I got this fear instilled in me because of Canop, who's in chat right now. He tried to do the player tutorial and he got stuck in the habs for like hours. Hours he was stuck in the habs. He couldn't leave. So I've just never played it because I did not want to get stuck. And now this gentleman is saying that it stopped working midway through. So that's pretty. Look, I understand this excuse works to a degree, but at a certain point, what are we at? Going on 13 years, going on to 14 years. $801 million, and you guys don't have a player tutorial that works is pretty frustrating and damning on your part, CIG. And you leave a lot of stuff to the player community to cover for you. That should not be one of them, right? When I first started playing, I had to sit there and watch a 30-minute player tutorial from 3.16, 3.17 to figure out what the hell I was doing, because there was no tutorial back then. So, right? Like, why should a content creator be having to create player tutorials? And look, there's not just one player tutorial on how to get started as a new player. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them, because CIG has no player tutorial, right? And if you have never seen anybody play this game, if you've never seen anything in this game, when you wake up in your hab for the first time, you have no idea what to do, where to go, nothing. You have nothing. And there's not even, and I have not watched the player tutorial, the CIG one. I don't even know if they tell you how to turn on your ship, right? So there's a lot of things that are going on in this. And once again, back to the alpha thing. Yeah, I know things are changing, and you have changed your flight model for the fourth time, and we're going to go on a fifth time with operator modes, and you know, you've changed your key bindings on FPS combat since I've been here 4 different times. Like, you guys have got to settle on something and start making
Stay a while
a
and
game.
listen.
Like, you got to start making this, right? What's up, Diz?
Okay, this tutorial broke. Maybe I can just skip this for now, and when I go to the next activity, I'm going to get another tutorial to teach me how to do that activity.
Oh, no.
But in this game, there wasn't no such thing. So
No.
if your first initial tutorial breaks, where it's teaching you how to do some very, very easy early game things, you will never be kind of taught how to do anything else. And yes, there's going to be helpful.
The early
players
game
in
is the mid game is the end game. That's all I can say.
As a game player, you expect that developers have put in some sort of tutorial system that actually helps you from the in-game perspective straight from them when you try to do new things. But in Star Citizen, that was so lacking. It was kind of a thing where I'm
that's
like,
a big new
is this
player
okay
thing.
to
I
me?
can't
But when
QT. I
started
can't
teaching
turn
the
on
game
my
to
ship.
my
How do I
friends
get
got
out
to
of my
play, it was
seat?
like, they don't want to do this. And if I wasn't here, they would probably have given up by now. So after I realized that almost no activity has any sort of help in-game, it just...
Look, there's also a Sherpa thing, right? You can sign up and get Sherpa'd around, but once again, it's if you're not reading every little pop-up and message when you're creating your account or creating your character, you're never going to know this. And if you don't know anything about the RSI website and where to look on there, you're never going to find it there either. So yeah, like there's a lot of issues with the new player experience in this game, and some of it can be easily figured out if you've played other games similar to this, but a lot of it you're not going to figure out on your own. And that falls on CIG. That's not a community thing. That's not a content creator thing. This is pure and simple a CIG thing. They need a tutorial. They need a working tutorial. And as I was saying earlier, they need to start settling on certain gameplay loops and changing the keybinds, changing the flight modes, et cetera, and make the game and make a tutorial. You want new players in here. You want to increase your funding. You want to get this game. You want to get the game out. This is how you do it. You got to settle on stuff, and you got to actually start branching and creating from there. You can't just keep changing stuff every, what is it? What are we getting changes every year and a half ish about? Major changes are happening.
Just drops the bar, because you expect that every game has some sort of system that teaches new players. Because what if this is the first person who's playing your game? How do they learn? In my opinion, I feel like not all players want to get on a game and the first thing they do is start spamming global chat, asking for help or asking new questions. You kind of feel like, I feel like an idiot right now and I should be able to figure some stuff out, or the game should have taught me some stuff. And one of the things I personally hate when I'm playing a game is if I'm spending more time of my gameplay searching up guides, watching tutorials on YouTube instead of actually playing the game. I want to be able to have this learning experience while playing the game and not having to stop what I'm doing in game to go out of game to look for tutorials. And I found that that's kind of where the game leaves you.
The inventory,
doing the learning and the activity simultaneously.
You guys know my thoughts on the inventory system.
Really nice, with little pointers and little things to help you get the activity done. So without that, it's kind of like, damn, I'm really left out here in the cold. And I feel like when you do a lot of asking for help or getting guided by other players when you first come into a game for the, like, literally the most basic aspects of the game, I feel like it takes away some of that connection with the game, helps you build yourself a routine with the game. I feel like a lot of that is removed when you skip some steps and someone just comes down and teaches it to you. And I feel like it also takes away some connection.
Oh no, you're good, Jim. You're good. Just
when
nerds watching nerd stuff, talking nerd stuff.
It kind of builds a level of trust with them and knowing that they're looking out for you in every way. So yeah, a better in-game dev-made guide system to help new players understand the initial types of game styles and initial keybinds that is really needed. And I don't mean like they should teach us how to do the really advanced stuff, but just the basic aspects of every single type of discipline. And to be honest, if you think about it, when a new player is pushed straight away to YouTube or straight away to...
Honestly, in my opinion, a real easy way to do this, like a seriously easy way to do a player tutorial, and why nobody has done this yet at CIG, I have no idea. We have this separate thing called Arena Commander, right? Here's what you do. You create your character. And you push the button that says go, right? And it brings up, do you want to play the tutorial or do you want to skip it, right? If you click play tutorial, it takes you out of the PU and creating your character and brings you back to the Arena Commander. And in Arena Commander, they have different subcategories, right? Tank wars, online, offline, free fly, classic race, etc. Right? They have all of that in there. You create another one that says tutorials. Oh my God. And in the tutorial section, right, they have a little area where it shows you how to leave the habs, get to your ship, call your ship. Cool. That part of the tutorial is done. Well, now you have other subcategories within there for the tutorial. Hand mining, rock mining, ship mining, FPS combat, looting, etc. Right? Salvaging. So you learn different aspects of the game. I'm not telling CIG to be like, oh, give the new players a mole or a prospector with all the gadgets and the doodads and all the extra components on there and let them, feel like a god in there. But I'm just saying, put an asteroid in front of them or a rock, mining laser, show them the buttons to use to make it work. And that's all you need to do. They want to figure out how to sell it or refine it or whatever, then yeah, maybe they're going to have to ask other players or maybe look for a guide on where the best refining is. But yeah, that's it. That's it. You could do that very easily. You just, I don't know why they haven't done it.
forums, whatever. I feel like most of the opinions they were going to get on those
I agree, Jim.
is things that are going to put them in a mind space of min-maxing.
Just learning how to use your hanger in the inventory system, because let me once again, I don't want to crash out and start yelling and screaming at a computer screen again, but the inventory system is by far the dumbest thing CIG has ever done. And I don't understand why they have to keep reinventing the wheel. In my tirade the other day, I said it. We have had working inventory systems in a variety of different games for damn near 40 years, and they work, right? They're intuitive. The UI is great. It's like I could say almost any idiot that's ever played a video game can figure out 99% of all inventory systems in any game very easily without step-by-step instructions. But then we have Star Citizen and CIG, and you can't even figure out how to get rocks out of a box into your inventory to sell unless you have somebody in chat telling you, step A, do this. Step B, do this. Step C, do this. Step D, go sell. Because if I didn't have somebody in chat telling me what's going on, I would have Alt F4'd a lot earlier. The fact that you have to, jump up and down 6 times, spin around 3 times, crouch twice, and then you can use the inventory is fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid. I'll get into that when I make my video later, but it is incredibly stupid. It is absolutely stupid. I can play a game like Tarkov, DayZ, and Path of Exile, Diablo 2, and I can click I for the inventory and immediately figure out how the inventory system works. And if I can't figure it out, I can right click on stuff and a little menu comes up and goes, oh, unload ammo. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Oh, right click on something. You mean you want to stack all the items of this kind on top of each other? Oh, dear God, I can do that? Oh, right click, split this. You have 100 of one thing and you want to split it 50-50? Oh my God, it's amazing. Why CIG has not figured this shit out yet is beyond me. Oh, move all? Move all? Oh my God, we have move alls in other games? Oh, dear God. Oh, equip all? Like, I don't understand. And I'm going way off on a tirade here, and I know that. But look, if they ever come up with a move all button in Star Citizen, you know they're going to make a patch just for the move all, and they're going to make it the biggest deal on ISC, Spectrum, and everything else, and all the white knights are going to come out and be like, this is the best thing that's ever been done in video games ever. This is huge. And then all of us are going to be like, this is like normal. This is normal video game stuff.
Everything, trying to do everything to the optimum level with no mistakes there. And I feel like when you get to that point where you just go from 0 to perfection because someone is feeding you the perfection, you actually get pushed to completion a lot faster. And when you get pushed to completion or mid-game or end-game very quickly from a new player point of view, this game now becomes like every other thing on the market.
You're right, Jim. You're right.
Complete what you want to do and you leave. And I feel like a lot of players, when they're playing games, they come into a game and they set themselves a goal. And that goal normally takes them a month, 2 months, 3 months to reach. And by the time they reach that goal, they want to play another game. But I found with Star Citizen, when you reach that goal, before you even get there, you're going to have another goal. But a lot of players might not see that and might just be focused in tunnel vision on one goal. They reach it, they drop it.
Okay. He brings up a good point about goals, but I think one of the problems with goals in Star Citizen is one, as a new player, you're going to have goal after goal after goal after goal. Everything is new, everything is shiny. You want to experience all this different stuff, whether it's, mining, different ships, combat, just exploring the verse, seeing the different stations, the different planets, making your first jump through the wormhole to Pyro. I get it. There's a lot of different things that you can set goals for yourself that you want to do, right? But to me, being here for 3 years, and some of you other guys have been, here for a while, right? What does the goal end up being for us? Right? We don't really have a goal. It's either chase events or save up money to buy the same, for me, for a long time, it was the A2. You save up money to buy the A2 for the 29th time, right? I want there to be more in-depth progression.
Game. So if they reach that super quickly, it lessens the chances of them finding another goal or how big and fast this game is to actually continue going. On the surface level, if you look at the game, you'll think this game is like everything else, but it's not. But if you speed through it, you might find out that it kind of is like everything else because you miss 70% of what the game actually has to offer to you. I'm literally just
I'm going to back this up just a little bit.
Is to actually continue going. On the surface level, if you look at the game, you'll think this game is like everything else, but it's not. But if you speed through it, you might find out that it kind of is like everything else because you miss 70% of what the game actually has to offer to you.
Once again, this is coming from a jaded, angry, hateful, no, that's what people call me online, backer. But this game, unfortunately, is like every other game. And it's not even a game. It's, as I said the other day, it's a bunch of tech demos layered on top of other tech demos held together by some really, really shitty duct tape. And I feel that that's a problem. I think the more you play this game, the more you start to realize that outside of the scale, none of this stuff is new. Right. None of this stuff is new. And I don't exactly understand what he means by speed through it, because even if you take your time and you really dissect what's going on in this game, none of this is new or a new creation, right? All of this stuff has been done before. Like, all of it has been done before. I'll give CIG, procedural planet tech. I'll give CIG, props on scale. But outside of that, server meshing has been done before. And before somebody in comments goes, well, no other game has done server meshing like Star Citizen has. Well, here's the thing. Server meshing is still technically tier 0. They don't have dynamic server meshing, and that's what they were going for. There are plenty of other games that have static server meshing, just like Star Citizen. Plenty of other games, right? We could list tons of them right here and now, but you guys the people in comments are gonna come up and find ways to be like, oh no, Star Citizen did this with the server meshing. It's the same thing in other games. It's static server to server meshing. It's been done before. It was done 12 years ago. And for some reason, we look at Star Citizen and go, oh, server meshing, it's the greatest thing ever. It's brand new. Nobody's ever done it before.
If you would join us.
I'm literally just over a month through the game, and I've only uncovered basically nothing. I'm still trying to get my head around how big this thing is. And one thing I found was, in other games, when it's an open world game, you normally get things dangled in front of you, trying to make you buy the next cosmetic or special item or special mount. And I found that at first, I didn't really notice anything like that in Star Citizen. And something that helped me kind of sit back and enjoy the game was when you go to my head around how big this thing is. And one thing I found was, in other games, when it's an open world game, you normally get things dangled in front of you, trying to make you buy the next cosmetic or special item or special mount. And I found that at first, I didn't really notice anything like that.
No, because they rely on the community, Spectrum, and ISCs to push in front of you the next new thing that you need to buy, whether or chase down an event, whether it's an F8C, the F7A, the F you know, executive paint skins, exclusive. You have to be rear admiral or higher to get. You need to be concierge to get. It's all locked behind money. You know, you want the pirate caterpillar? Oh, go beat X gameplay in Arena Commander, and then you get the ability to buy it. You don't earn it, you get the ability to buy it. You want the pirate Gladiator skin? Oh, do the Arena Commander thing, and then you get the ability to buy $110, $115 skin for your Gladius. Like this part actually makes me really upset. He's obviously not spent time on the pledge store and really looked around and understood that there's a certain, while there's no special mounts or no special armor that's displayed on the front page when you load in the game, like there is on many other AAA titles, this gets dangled in front of you by the pledge store, by certain ISCs, by what level of payment you have in the game, what level of monetary investment you have in the game unlocks certain things for you, whether it be PTU to an executive paint or whatever, right? And yeah, so I highly disagree with that.
Star Citizen. And something that helped me kind of sit back and enjoy the game was when you go to different places, different cities, you can rent these items out. Things that you have to buy if you can make enough money or credits in game. You can rent these things and you can buy these things, which helped me kind of level my head. And I wasn't too bothered about buying a new ship. I was more bothered about actually experiencing the game, because now it's like I can grind and save for this, or I can rent this at a smaller price and test it out anyway. But then the IAE Expo happened. So this is an event where they give you ships you can rent and try out. And you guys told me to go check it out, so I went to check it out. And boy, when I got there, did they shove it all in my face. It was like my wallet started rattling with magnetic forces to take my money. There was so much in the event and beyond the event, and this free fly event was
they do a good job of trying to get you to part with your money. I will say that.
Really because of the timing when I started playing this game. But honestly, I really just wanted to say, look, just take my money. But I was like, you know what, Steph, have some restraint. But then during the event, I had a thought. Why were they giving all of these things up so easily? Even if it was just like for a week or so. I understand that you want to push sales. That is 100% understandable, especially the fact that the game is actually crowdfunded, right? But a lot of these things might hold exclusive value to some of the bigger spenders who spend more regularly on the game. But now
they don't hold exclusive value.
Basically bought a base package, has access to all these things. And who knows, I might not spend any more money in this game. I can go and use this crazy 890 jump ship that is insane, and I get it for 2 days. Like, it felt
hey, Pops, what's up, man?
Like I shouldn't have access to this. I would get it for small to medium ships being free to rent and for you to fly, especially if you are playing the event for free because, you know, a friend recommended to you or you saw the adverts on YouTube or something. But when it comes to the bigger ships, I feel like they should have been somewhat locked behind the pledge wall, where if you're only playing because a friend recommended to you, you don't want to buy the game, but you're okay with playing it for the free event, and during this time your friend can rent a ship, you can come along for the ride and you can use the ship, fly the ship, but through your friend who got it because they are a pledge member of this game. Because I found that a lot of people who hate on the game, say the game is a scam, when the game goes free, they jump on and they play the game, wrecking havoc for a week or so, and
that's not why it's considered a scam.
And it's like, if you hate the game so much,
I mean, he's new, he's only played for 30 days. That's not why people call it a scam. That's one of the reasons why it's called a scam, but that's not the main reason. It has nothing to do with the pledge store and buying ships. I mean, it's part of the reason, but that's not the main reason.
If it's a scam, but when it's free, you're coming to play the game, that means you like the game, You just don't want to buy the game because it's unfinished and you don't want to support the game. So now when people like this are able to come to the game, play the game, experience it with all the large and massive ships, how is that fair to the people who are actually putting in money and pledging to get this game to completion? Even if you think about the regular people who just see the ad and want to try it out.
So, and once again, this goes back to he's new and he doesn't understand. The more money that you pledge, the more things that are unlocked and available for you, right? You get a head start above and beyond everybody, right? So if you know how to mine and you pledged a mole, you already get a head start in making money. If you have a large ship and a salvager, you can basically print in infinite amounts of money. As I said, PTU testing, that comes in waves, and depending on how much money you spent, you get early access to that. If you've pledged a ridiculous amount of money when a new ship comes out, that also allows you the ability to melt and just buy whatever you want. There's a lot of things that go into exclusives for people that have pledged a lot of money. There's a lot of things that go into that. Now, I understand what he's saying, but in a game like this where it's crowdfunded and whatnot, you have to make at least the basics of certain ships available to everybody else. Yeah, you're not going to get X paint. Yeah, you're not going to get X variant. Yeah, you're not going to get X other thing. But that's if you had all of this stuff locked behind closed doors, the general community of Star Citizen would not stand and abide by it. Like they would not. They just wouldn't.
How many regular players do you think are going to come on, rent the $500 ship, and then pay $500 for that ship? Not a lot of them. They're probably going to buy a base package. So it's like, do they really need access to these giant ships like a capital ship?
That's true, Blaze.
Think so. But now that we're kind of like talking about the audience in general, I've started to feel like a lot of players want newbies to experience the game exactly how they did and jump themselves to completion. They don't want you to be a noob. They want you to go from day one being a noob to day two you're a professional. And I feel like that's very unrealistic. Pushing new players to guides and other things, it's almost like don't experience the game yourself or experience the game exactly how I did. And I know sometimes it's super painful to see a new player suffering or struggling with something that
mine little rocks with a prospector.
But these are the things that build connection to a game, is the trials and tribulations and overcoming them. Because for me personally, when I get good at things, it's kind of like a thing where I zone out. I'm good at it now. I can do this with my brain off. And now this puts me back into the box of zombie gaming. So speed tracking it, making everything perfect too quickly, it just loses some of those bonding hours. And I feel like for a new player, you need that. And yes, there's
he's kind of
difficulty with the learning curve of the game being so difficult. But I feel like even if a player doesn't want to ask for help, at certain points when things get too hard, they're going to ask for help. Because sometimes getting bombarded with help gets scary. It kind of gets overwhelming. Some people don't want to take all of that. And when you get too much information, you'll understand none of it. So I feel like there's a balance between getting help and being bombarded and overwhelmed with help. Sometimes it just pushes you away from a game. And honestly, I'd like to think most people...
Look, people, I talk a lot of shit about the Star Citizen community, but I don't... Welcome back, Hannah. I don't really see in global chat, hardly at all, if a new player is asking for help. Yeah, you get the obligatory Alt F4s or your mom or whatever, right? It's bound to happen. It's a video game, right? But for the most part, a large majority of people are very, very willing to stop what they are doing and help a new player. There's a lot of people that will do that. There's a lot of people that will be like, oh, you're a new player. The wipe's coming up soon. You just got here. We want you to experience the game. Here's 30 million. Just go have fun with it. Don't worry about losing the money. It's going to go away anyways. Here you go. Have fun. So that I will say that it's very nice, but there are times where I've seen in global chat where somebody asks a very simple question and they get hit with not so much 10 different ways to do it. It's here's how you do it. And then comes more information than they needed. Like, well, if you're going to like, how do I mine? how do I turn on the mining laser? And somebody will be like, oh, push M or whatever it is. I don't know what it is on the keybind. Push that. And then somebody will inevitably be like, oh, you need to make sure you have a Hofstede laser with this module and that module, and make sure you upgrade your power plant. And then because you're running too hot, you're going to need these coolers. So go here, here, and here, and buy this and buy that and do this. That's not what they asked. Let them figure it out on their own, right? I don't want to say figure it out on their own, but when they ask, hey, I can't crack this rock, why can't I crack this rock? Because you don't have X laser or you don't have X module, right? Step by step, guys. You don't need to slam them with information.
People who were playing Star Citizen are a little bit more intellectual than the fast food gamer audience of this generation.
No, that's not true.
Some of us just have the know-how to kind of get things done and figure things out. And
there's no more intellectuals playing this game than there are playing Call of Duty. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. All you got to do is wait for an event and watch people get attacked a couple of times, and all hell breaks loose like Call of Duty, like a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 lobby from the early 2000s.
You're a little bit more intellectual and using that to play games. I feel like learning is a big part of your gaming experience. So if you don't get to learn because you're fed it kind of ruins it, right? Now, the performance of the game is incredibly annoying. Look, I've upgraded parts just to play this game. This is the first time
that's a terrible mistake.
My PC that I'm upgrading parts, and it's just to play this game. Everything else works. Even things like Cyberpunk work. But this game, I literally had to upgrade parts. I've even had some days where I couldn't even play for different reasons.
I need to get more RAM
after the game updates. But think about it. A game that gave me this many problems where I have to update my PC, and I'm still telling you it's a good game. Think about how crazy that is, that it's still a good game. Like, if that doesn't sell the game,
I'll disagree on the good game part.
I have to spend more money on my PC. I don't know what else is going to sell you to the game. And at one point, I couldn't log in one day, and this being a bad thing ended up being a good thing, because this pushed me to actually try some other game modes within the game. And honestly,
you went to Arena Commander,
because Star Citizen as a whole,
I've never played Star Marine.
Adding a whole
not
new
one time.
game, Squadron 42, to the universe. And
you sweet summer child.
In the next 4.0 update, to adding a whole
this
new
is
star system, which is going to be
4.0.
bigger than the one we're currently in, which to me is incredibly insane. And with that comes so many things. So saying that, it's like,
that's what I'm saying, Jim.
Within the game, with the Arena Commander and all the different modes in Arena Commander, it's literally multiple.
That's where they should have the player tutorial right there.
This is where I'm going to pick a fight with everyone who says it's a scam. Okay, hear me out. How much have you paid for like other live service shooters? How much have you?
All right, here's the thing. He's gonna cover his experience on why it's not a scam. And while I agree with, I know everything he's going to say. Once again, I've been here for 3 years. I've watched the haters channels. I watched the White Knight channels. I know everything he's going to say and why it's not a scam. And he is correct. It's when you've been here for a while and you start realizing certain things, like, for example, yes, I know they're in game now, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. The Sandworm from 2016, Explosive Decompression from 2016, the EVA model, which is it in the game? Yeah, but it's not all the way in, right? We don't have push-pull mechanics, right? Procedurally generated cities, that's not here. The Banu Merchantman. I could go on and on and on all the scam things that are part of this game, right? But I already know what he's going to say. He's going to cover the free flies. He's going to cover the multiple game modes. He's going to cover the fact that $45 gets you in and you don't have to spend any more money if you don't want to. This is a huge game. Technical innovations, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. I know what he's going to say.
You pay for other games. Let's just strip back Star Citizen just down to only the Arena Commander, not the actual universe where you get to play with other peoples in this open world, right? Let's go straight to the Arena Commander. It's a shooter mode with different modes. You can do everything you can do in Call of Duty. You can also do ship combat. There's also like an offline version of the game. How many shooters have you paid for that only let you play the shooter? Or how many games have you paid for that give you what, a 4 or 5 hour story mode? Like your Titanfalls, your Battlefields, Bulletstorms, Borderlands, CSGO, all those kind of games. Even your free titles where we see ourselves spending like hundreds on cosmetic skins. If those games aren't a scam, isn't just the arena mode on this game itself the same as those? So how is this a scam?
So everything you just said, Star Citizen does too. He just has not gone to the pledge store and seen it. Right? He's just not gone to the pledge store and seen it. All the different weapon types, all the armor types, all the ship types, all the ship paints, the modder's handbook, like buying plots of land, etc. Like you just haven't seen it, or you haven't been here long enough to experience it, or have somebody tell you about said things, right? Like they sold $3.5 million worth of land, and that was 7 years ago. So yeah, and Cannot brings a big point. Like the Star Citizen community as a whole, like they say there's over 5.1 million accounts. CIG has even said like a year and a half ago, when it was like 4.8 million, that roughly 50% of them are alt accounts. So if you really want to like split hairs here, the CIG community is about 2.5 to 2.8 million players. And when you put that in perspective of Call of Duty, Halo, Marvel Rivals, and many other games, you start to realize that our community is not very big. It's not very big at all. These other games dwarf the Star Citizen community. And space games in general are a niche game. And then when you throw in survival elements on top of it, super niche. You add in flight simmy stuff, even though it's more of an arcade flight sim, it becomes even more super niche. You add in eventually Death of a Spaceman, and if there are punishing death mechanics, you are making it even more super niche. So this is not a big community by any means.
Add up, does it? Here's where I might start glazing
that's
a
also
little bit too hard, but I have to be honest with it, right? The gameplay and the world. This thing is endless. Honestly, it's just endless. The universe, the career choices, and then the potential for things to get better is endless. In my brain,
it's always the
space is
potential.
empty, it's dark, but for some reason, Star Citizen has made that emptiness beautiful to me. And I don't just mean like the stars and the black space or whatever, but empty planets look nice. And it's crazy because there's virtually nothing on these planets and moons, but they look nice. It just feels like an aura of like tranquility. Even the clouds in the habitable systems is just like, wow. And if you're looking for a game that has very unique takes on similar things like the cities, the aesthetics you get from different planets is actually very, very mind-boggling. And this game, for something that's so open, has so...
But the problem I have with the cities is like you only use like, let's be honest here, you really only use like a 10th, a 20th of the available city for the player. That's it. Like that's all you get. Right? You can't just roam the streets of Lorville. You can't just, drive your Dragonfly down the streets of ArcCorp. You can't. Like, you only get those few buildings that they allow you to walk around in on Orison, on New Babbage, on, any one of those places. That's it, and I wish there was more. We want to talk about scope, scale, size, all of that stuff. The cities alone are the biggest waste of player space I've ever seen. And that's something that needs to be addressed.
So much lore.
Yeah, it's no night city for sure.
Each star system, to each planet system, and it's just very, very rich in actual context and lore. Honestly, it's really refreshing.
Yeah, that
it's
is
a mixture
crazy.
of a lot of different aspects of gaming and open world games all in one, from your MMORPGs to just your sandbox survival. And then now to add the immersion.
I disagree.
And look, I'm not an immersion gamer. I actually kind of hate immersion games, especially when that's the only aspect of a game. But in Star Citizen, it's so entwined that you don't even realize it, but you start falling into this state of immersion where you're enjoying this game on almost a human personal level. And this is something that's out of my general gaming style, yet I am really enjoying it, even though in the past I have hated it with a passion. Like, honestly, it's got to the point where I'm ready to buy this game if it ever comes out with VR. And I really enjoyed the fact that
you could
all these
force it to do
professions are
VR.
kind of intertwinable. At first, they'll seem like a little bit basic, but then when you realize how you can merge them all and do so many different things all at once, it's really refreshing, and it leads to a lot of different avenues and styles of playing.
I wish the gameplay loops, the professions, were a little bit more entwinable. I understand what he's saying, but the only time I've really seen the gameplay professions be intertwined, this is back when illegal cargo was just basically falling off of ships. And that was when I think it was myself, Canop, Jim, Flag, Moon, Pagan. There might have been another 2 or 3 people there. I can't remember. We were doing the bounties, right? The highest tier bounties, the two highest tier bounties. Shoot down the ships, and then a crew would come in, move the cargo off to a cargo ship, and then the salvagers would come in with the reclaimer and scrape it and munch it, and then we'd go and grab another target. And that was a lot of fun, that we were intertwining the cargo hauling, the salvaging, and the ship-to-ship combat. That was a lot of fun. And there was no event for that. There was no, I didn't watch a YouTube video and was like, this is how we need to play. This was just a few guys discussing on Discords going, hey, it would be fun if we went out and shot up some bounties. Some people came in and grabbed the cargo, and then we had another crew come in and do the salvage. And we made money hand over fist, not just from the cargo, but from the bounties, from the salvaging, and like everything working together. And I wish Star Citizen had more opportunities to do that. Like, let me back that up. They have plenty of opportunities to do it. They just haven't done it yet. And I would like to see more of it.
I can be a bounty hunter while I'm running cargo, and on my pit stop, I go hunt a bounty, or I can go do some security work, or better yet, I could do all of
fun
them
detected and
together
nerfed, exactly. Chase, what's up, man?
Really
How you doing?
Games kind of limited the amount of
Space
different
Bub
things
was
you could
there
do at once, while this game is like you could do all of them at the same time on the same route. I even reacted to an episode of the IAE show that they released where they talk about how they want to extend the professions and create more to broaden the game's player-to-player economy. And you're probably thinking, how can you do all of those things? Aren't you like bound to a few types of professions, right? And the thing is,
once again, he's new. We've been talking about the player-to-player economy for 3-4 years now, and we still haven't even caught a whiff of it. The only player-to-player economy that we have currently is because players essentially RP it and make it happen in game. Weapons trading, and that's essentially it. It's just really weapons trading, right? The rail guns, the grenade launchers. Some of the rare stuff, basically, but you don't see that now that we have item recovery, right? That's it. I wish we had more player-to-player economy. We need a player trading system. We need more than just sending each other money back and forth. We need an actual economy that is somewhat that is affected by the player base, similar to like Eve and Elite Dangerous. But we can't do this right now. It's not a true player economy, and not even close.
not. You can literally do anything you want. Or you
I
can
loved
even
the
do
old Wake of
nothing at all.
Disaster.
You can literally live
Old Wake of
outside
Disaster
the
was
system's
amazing.
missions and contract system and still be able to make money and do other things. And it works. People do this, and it's a thing that's like, wow, you can actually just live outside of the game's norms and nothing happens. You still progress.
Not real. Well,
feels
progress to buy
right.
the next
The
ship.
activities, the jobs, the multiple layers to everything is just, it's really nice. And then there's something that I actually love and hate. The game has this almost ever-changing nature where things are always getting updated, reworked. But there's two things to this. One of them is this kind of keeps the player base forever learning, having new experiences, doing the same things. But then when it comes
once again, I
new
disagree with him
players, it's a thing of
wholeheartedly. It's not. They keep updating things, but what the problem is that they're updating things, but they're not really moving it forward. Right there, it's not moving forward. You could argue 4.0 and Pyro moved things forward. Yeah, you're right. But a lot of the other stuff, it's either a regression or a sidestep. This game needs to move forward if it's to find success, if it's to actually finish. And we're getting sidesteps or we're getting regression, and that can't keep happening.
These players are new. If they even want to go look up a guide or get help, all the things they find might be outdated.
Honestly, Jim, the drug wars were and the Wake of Disaster wars were the best player-to-player interaction I've ever had in this game, hands down.
The same. So now you're stuck.
It beat JT. It beat Ghost Hollow.
And it's like all these videos could be telling you the wrong things. And I feel like there has to be some sort of a balance there, because when everything gets changed so often, it's going to be great for veteran players to learn something new or do something new in the same thing they've been doing, but new players just don't have access to the right information. But now, here's where I had almost an oh shit moment. How does this game ever become a finished product? People are open to all these new things that CIG is putting into this game because of the type of game it is for now. You know, when they do almost like full reworks on things, people get mad about it, but not as much as we see on other game titles. If this is a finished title and it's on the actual proper market, the generic audience won't accept that. They want the exact product that they paid for. If they paid for something that's a finished product,
but so does the Star Citizen community.
And they don't want things to generally change in terms of a full rework of systems. Imagine they change how everything works because 4 years down the line, they develop a better engine or a better system and they need to rewrite a lot of coding.
Do you mean master modes?
Better, but in turn, it makes some of those things that you're used to have to change completely. How does a living, growing, and developing game like Star Citizen showcase itself to the current or future game market without having to slow itself down or completely stop itself from progressing and evolving? Because right now the game has such a flux state of change, which keeps it almost alive every time they do something new. I just can't see a world where the general public will accept this ever-changing state of a game. But maybe I'm dissecting it
the
wrong,
community doesn't even accept
seeing
it.
Things from the wrong angle. So like, let me know your thoughts on that. There are a few finer details that I did find were a little bit odd to me during my 30 days journey. Like some of the ship movements, they felt lifeless. You know, when you go like side to side and you're moving, it just felt very robotic and linear. There was almost like no physics to it. Almost no weight to these giant ships.
So he started playing at IAE
smaller ships,
just because
and
master
modes a
modes
little bit slower. But still, it just wasn't visually appealing. But I can say some larger ships did have some cool mechanics in terms of the way they looked when they were taking off and landing. But now I will say the spectacle of fighting in ships is beautiful. The explosions are actually super nice. The different
explosions
colors
are. I don't like the UI in ship combat. And it gets very evident as the ship fights get larger and larger. The Iron Man UI, it compounds the situation and makes it worse, trying to distinguish friend from foe. It gets really bad really quick. And something needs to be done about that. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. And Jim brings up a good point. There's no physics in this game. There isn't. There is collision detection, and that's about it. The physics in this game are very minimal.
lasers, everything kind of got brought to life once you start shooting in space and things start blowing up. It was very, very full of color, full of life, and it was amazing. It literally had me like wowed out every single time I saw something. Now, when I say the bugs, I'm not even talking about the generic bugs that are always happening. But Lord have mercy, I have run into so many bugs. I might as well get a bug zapper because this is out of hand. Because almost every little thing has a bug. From getting your gear on to eating food, elevators to go to places, ships blowing up for no reason or just stopping to work altogether. Half your displays not showing up. There's
falling
so
through the
much.
planet.
And the thing is, a lot of these things have walkarounds to help you get over them or walk around them. So some of them can be evaded. Bugs aren't a problem if they can be evaded. Like, let's say mining isn't working today.
But the problem is at this point in development, a lot of these bugs should not exist. For example, I'll just give you three. Well, I'll give you four at this point. We'll start with the simple things. The ability to not have your friends show up. When you start a group and nobody has markers, that is a problem. That is a problem that has existed in this game for going on 5 years. And for whatever reason, it works for, 6 months to almost a year, and then it breaks. And then we go 2 and 3 and 4 months without it working again. And then we get it working again, and it works for 3 to 9 months, and then it breaks again, right? That should not be happening. 2, why is it so goddamn difficult to eat or drink food in this game? Like, that is a reoccurring thing that should not happen anymore in year 13, 14. It should not be happening. I should be able to take my helmet off, whether I do Alt-H or open up my inventory and put my helmet in my backpack. I should be able to take out my cruise lux or pick up my burrito or whatever it is and eat it and not have to put it on the ground, back away from it, come back to it, pick it up. Oh, no, it didn't work again. Throw it on the floor again. Hey, Jim, can you pick that up and put it back down for me? Okay. Oh, now it works. That should not be a problem anymore. 3, falling through planets should not be happening at all, period, in year 13, 14 of this. It should not be happening, period. The end, period. It should not be happening. Another thing that I'll bring up that also should not be happening, but yet it still does, and I was hoping would go away when they updated it. This is a very simple thing. I should not have my QT, I guess it's a 2-part thing. I should not have my quantum drive randomly shut off mid-quantum. It should not happen. And the other part that goes with that is I should not be rerouted into the sun. That seems to be, once again, a recurring problem in the 3 years that I've been here, where I get rerouted into the sun. I'm not even looking at the sun. I could be facing the opposite way from the sun and be wanting to jump to Hurston, and my damn ship will turn around and look straight at the sun and start jumping. Like, that should not happen. It should not happen. And yet here we are, and it still happens. Has it gone away for right now? Yes, it has gone away for right now. But wait for the next patch, because it could start up again.
You can go find something else to do. But now, if you can't put on your armor, if you can't get out of the room you spawn in, if you can't get any of your ships, if you can't get to your hangar, what do you do then? These things actually stop people from playing the game. And a lot of these things have bugs, which is really weird, and it shouldn't
That's pretty
be like
funny.
this.
I didn't know you could do that.
The main thing about a game is that the fundamental basic things that every player has to do multiple times, they should be working. They should always be in working condition. And as a new player, it gets really scary when you see on chat people talking about, oh, this new bug is happening, and then some people are like, yeah, it's happening to me, it's happening to me, and some other people are like, it's not happening to me. It makes you think, what if I'm next? What if when I log in next time I have that bug? What am I going to do? These people—
You want to know what the scariest bug is there, Steph? attempting to log in and find out you have been account locked because your character is locked, your account is locked to a dead shard, or whatever the hell was happening in 3.18 for 2 months I couldn't play, right? There's like, that's even scarier. And you paid for a game, right? And I'm not talking like $45. Some people have spent $20,000 plus and they can't log into the game. That is another huge problem that should never happen. I can understand if there's internet outages. I can understand if there's server outages at Amazon. I can understand that. But when hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are logging in throughout the week, and yet here you are and you can't log in because whatever bug is happening in Star Citizen, that should not happen.
Obviously distressed, and some of them can't even play the game. What if I'm next in the pipeline? It gets you kind of scared, and it kind of makes you really wary about, should I continue playing? But now look, apart from the extremely buggy mess that the game is still extremely enjoyable. Like, if we take away the bugs, I'm actually like, the game is just great. It is, it really is. I'm still getting my head around all
saving
the
my
crazy
opinion
amount
for
of
earlier.
things you can do in this game, and watching more content from CIG themselves, being amazed at what they want to do and what they're planning to do, and the things that they want to implement into the game. More roles, more trades, things players can sink time into, getting more immersed into this world of Star Citizen. And the thing is, I think if they can achieve some of these things that they're going for, this might be the first game that is actually going to be the best simulation immersion game with a living, breathing economy created by players in this game that doesn't need to be meddled with too much. It's going to be crazy if they can accomplish that. And so far, I found that it seems very balanced in terms of cheaters and hackers, where there's not a lot of ways to cheese the game, where you can come on and in the first hour of your ever turning the game on, you can make 5 million and buy everything. There's a thing where,
oh, you sweet, sweet summer child. I can just go on eBay or click on any one of the hundreds of ads that are given to me through YouTube and buy 50 million for $10 and be done with it. Or I can learn what the newest dupe is and just dupe my way into trillions of dollars in minutes. So yeah, you can cheese, or you can do this thing. You can just have a really big wallet, buy a big ship, buy a reclaimer, and in a couple of hours, you'll have 25 million. Like, yeah, or you can e-bag, right, Jim? Right? You can e-bag.
where it's like only really good players can find ways to do things so simply they can make a lot of money in no time, which is really refreshing because I feel like a lot of games have a lot of hackers easy.
Running around picking up med guns is not an advanced player thing. That's just putting 2 and 2 together, right? Or as somebody else said, the Nine Tails vest, right? That's just putting 2. You're not good. You just looked at numbers and went, oh, Eureka, I can make more money if I do this thing. You don't have to be good at the game to figure this stuff out. None of this stuff is really you're good at the game. It's just looking at the numbers and figuring it out. Like it's a number game right now. You want to mine more efficient? What are you going to do? Get out a mole, put a Hofstede and your usual lasers, and you can even solo the damn thing if you want to and make tons of money. Like none of this is really hard. And yes, duping is a thing. There's tons of exploits. There's tons of ways around starting out at 25,000 credits to getting millions very quickly.
Loopholes that you can use to do things and achieve things super easily. So it makes it feel like the efforts that you make when you come on do actually matter. I've tried some of the gameplay styles beyond just my FPS bunkers, and I'm finding that even though I am a very heavy combat player, every game I play has to have some sort of combat. I'm finding myself doing things that aren't so much combat and I'm still enjoying it. And this is really weird for me because if I'm not shooting or fighting something, I get bored. It's just how I game, right? And there's only one other game where I like to play things or do fun farming, and that's Ark. And apart from that, I don't like to farm. I don't like to do easy things or boring things in my head.
How I miss Head Knight being
things that I would call
a rock mineable.
Easy. And that just shows you that there's something about the game that calls you out of your normal playing style that you would normally indulge in. And every activity just has so much depth to it, like even mining. I went through my first ship mining process just to find that they had options for different playing styles. You could mine and sell immediately if you were just like an impatient gamer, or you can refine it to make more profit, but this is going to take a little bit more time. And even within that,
if there's a wipe coming up, you lose it.
Hey, yes, you want to spend more time, but how much time do you want to spend? 22 hours or 1 hour? How long are you willing to wait? And how much time do you have to play the game? In the same proficiency, there's different methods. Do you want to do it by hand, with a smaller vehicle, or with a ship? There's just so much that just gives you like,
it's not about efficiency.
To do the same thing, it's the same kind of game style.
It's not about, see, this is, I mean, he's a new guy, so I'll give him that, but it's not about efficiency, whether you're going to use a hand tool, a rock, or a ship. It's
Shame.
you just can't do it.
Shame.
Without those things. And I mean, you can do rock mining in a prospector. You just got to be careful, and you can rock mine a hand mineable, but once again, you got to be careful. So I mean, it goes down, but you can't go up, right? You're not going to be able to hand mine a 36-ton rock. It just, you can't do it.
There's something for everyone. Fast gamers, slower gamers, there's something for you here. But now when it comes to the FPS missions, where these are like my favorite kind of missions, I would like to see some differences, mostly in the NPC behaviors. After a while, once you've learned the layout,
more than the same four bunkers,
because of things where the NPC movements become very predictable, and it's like, it starts being a thing.
Oh dude, the NPCs are terrible in this game.
And it just feels a little bit boring. I am yet to like visit every single type of bunker or building out there.
Yes, you have.
I do on the regular.
Once again, he's new. He doesn't know. It's the same four bunkers. Just so 2 are one way, 2 are the other. That's it. And then you have the drug bunkers, which have 2 different layouts, right? And they're just mirror images of each other. They're all just mirror images of each other. That's one of the problems. The only thing he hasn't done, because I haven't heard him mention it, is distribution centers. I still haven't done a distribution center, and they've been out for God knows how long, because for damn near a year, you were falling through the fucking distribution center, and I just didn't want to go and deal with that, because who wants to do that? Right? I haven't done CZs yet, just because honestly, if I'm going to play an extraction shooter, right, I'm going to go play a real extraction shooter, not this, because this is like the FPS in this is okay to good, but this is a second rate FPS game. When you're just talking about FPS, it's second rate compared to a lot of the other available shooters that are out there and extraction games that are available. All right. This, like, if I'm like I said, if I'm going to do CZs and play extraction, I have a multitude of other games that I can play that are extraction shooters that I would have a far better time with than dealing with the buggy shit that happens in Star Citizen while trying to PvP my way through an extraction zone with loot. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I would rather go play. This is going to get me in trouble, and I don't really care. I would rather play Escape from Tarkov than go to a CZ. Why? Because the only bug I really have to deal with in Escape from Tarkov is their audio is borderline, I don't want to say terrible, but it's not good. Like, sometimes the audio is fantastic, and then there's other times it's cutting out, or you just don't hear it at all. But I'd rather go do that. I'd rather go do that than play in a CZ where I don't know if I'm going to get stuck in a reload animation for 16 tries before my mag actually has ammo in it, right? I don't want to fall through things. I don't want to die to somebody with a fucking grenade launcher. And because of tier 0, I don't want to have to kill that person only to have them be right back in the contested zone in 2.5 minutes with all of their gear back, right? I just don't want to deal with it. I like I said, I'd rather play Escape from Tarkov. Vigor sounds like it'd be cool. Or I could go play Hunt Showdown, right? I'd rather go play something else other than CZ room, contested zone.
Like, you can see
the elevator,
and
right?
I feel like when it comes down to FPS, a lot of the fun of it is the difficulty of enemies, and just having too many brain dead AI bots chasing you isn't enough. There's really good AI out there that could be implemented, or even
he doesn't understand that they're tied to the server.
Because hey, I'd like some of my enemies to be hard enough where it's like, wow, okay.
I mean, the fact that you can run around naked, just karate chopping everything,
in the game, and the ship bounties. And to be honest, I have to actually commend them on this. Firstly, on the salvaging. My first experience of like ship salvaging was on a huge, humongous ship. And I was very impressed on how well
the Reclaimer is a fucking awesome ship,
handled by a singular person. So this is a giant ship that could fit maybe a crew of 20, yet I could actually manage it on my own.
If you want to be efficient, a crew of 4 or 5 would make it efficient.
It's like, even though you see these big ships that feel daunting,
2 in the turret, 1 pilot, 1 to 2 box monkeys.
Yes, a little bit slower.
That is the most efficient way to run a Reclaimer.
It is doable.
But you can do it solo. It's not hard.
I see these big ships and all these things, I really enjoy gaming on my own. So having the option to use the best equipment on the market on my own,
it is a little odd, isn't it? Kind of.
But now, when it comes to like huge like combat escapades or super hard missions where you have to do a lot of fighting or killing, which you'll need a bigger ship for, I don't think there's a way around it. Like, you just have to go get people. So that is a thing. So it feels like no matter what your play style is,
or you can just learn the loadouts and
there's something here for you, and there's so much
bring the appropriate
in
ship, and
excitement in
that's it. It's over.
Things like you can be mining, which is such a peaceful, nice and quiet thing,
until you blow the shit off your ship
when you maybe mistakenly overheat something and it blows up. There's always some sort of excitement, and even when you're playing something like the FPS modes where you're shooting and it's so heightened, you have the mellow times.
It's really not
taking
heightened.
All the gear, putting it in a box. You can be there's different levels of enjoyment.
You can be very special needs and
so yeah,
get this
the game
done.
really does cater for every kind of playing style. When I look back, and after a month, I can say I'm literally only on like 15% complete on learning or experiencing what the game has to offer. And I'm someone who plays 1 to 2 hours on the weekdays and maybe 4 hours on the weekend if I have time. So if I had to sit here and rank the game out of 10, I would right now give it a 6.5 out of 10. And that low number is only because of the bugs. Yes, we can walk around the bugs, but they're still there. We have to notice them and address them, you know? But
he gives it a higher score than I would.
This is like an 8.5 out of 10, and this is not even complete yet. So yeah, after a month, I'm gonna sit here and tell you the same thing I told you when I first started. It's not a scam, it's fun, and you are going to get addicted. Give it a shot. If you're worried and you think, oh, I don't know if it's gonna be good or bad, or if it's gonna be...
How much time is on this? We've been talking on this for a while.
I promise you, if you come in at the lowest package, you won't feel like this was a waste of your money, and you're going to find something in there that you actually really connect with. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at a lot of games that I've bought in the past, and I'm like, were you really worth $40, or did you scam me? Because when I match this up to other games now, I'm like, a lot of games are actually
he doesn't understand why certain people call this a scam. Why
with all the bugs, the game is still...
I don't say it's a scam, but it's definitely exists in a moral gray area or ethical gray area.
Gaming that I can remember, and a lot of these games are not it when you compare them to this unfinished game. But yeah, that's my opinion so far after a month. I know there's a little bit of a long video.
That's his opinion. So that took way longer than it should have. That took way longer than it should have. I don't think let's not do such a long one. We could do back-to-back commercials. Well, let's do back-to-back commercials. Actually, before we do that, where'd it go? There's another Guardian here. All right. Before we do that, we're going to do Guardian. At the moment, oh, that's pretty cool, Bob. That's really cool. Yeah, we need more We need more of this technology.
Streamer bro, back up.
We need more of that technology. More technology like that, Bob. All right, so we're going to do a Guardian video, you know, the guy that I interviewed the other day. So this is about the sitcon announcement. This is the sitcon announcement. Guardian, tell us about the sitcon.
Today I want to cover the update on CitizenCon for this year.
I have very strong opinions about this.
So it's interesting to see that they're already talking about it. Not a lot of details to hear, but I do want to share the way it will be delivered this year because I thought it was pretty interesting. Myself, as a, I guess, a quote unquote content creator, I guess I fit in that bucket these days. I was interested in going to a CitizenCon at some point. I was thinking maybe it might come to the States.
I would never go to a sitcon. I think it's a lot of, you're paying a lot of money to have quite a few people with big egos go up there and have their ego stroked. And I think it's a ego fest masked with some videos that they created 3 weeks beforehand to show you, hey, this is how we're working on stuff. And then none of, like, literally none of that ever comes into the game. Like none of it, you know. I can go back to the 2024, no, not 2024, 2023 sitcon, and I can just remind people that, once again, 30% of that, not even 30% of it, I think it was 18% of it was actually delivered. And all of that stuff that you saw in there, you heard it from the man's mouth himself. 12 months, it'll be in. All that and more. So, yeah. Heavy, you're probably right.
This year, but there was some talk of maybe Canada. But that being said, they're going to do a CitizenCon Direct, which will be online only. So this October 11th,
COVID's coming back.
It looks like they'll be doing CitizenCon, but
I'm just kidding.
Online only. So there will be no in-person CitizenCon this go around, which is not uncommon for the industry. I think BlizzCon is one of those things where they've been doing a fair amount of digital only these days. I think last year, and I think maybe this year, they're doing that as well. So it's not uncommon, and it seems like a lot of people don't have any, hate.
But here's the thing. Blizzard was losing tons of money, and they stopped doing the big in-person ones because they were losing tons of money until they got bought out by Microsoft, well, Activision. And now Activision lost a ton of money, and now Activision is owned by Microsoft. So that's why they're not doing it, right? They're not making money like they were 15 years ago.
Towards CIG, and I don't either. I mean, I'm here nor there. Like I said, I'm just interested in possibly going at some point to get to meet some of you guys.
I should play Minecraft.
Anyways, the focus this year, I mean, there's a Q&A down here, and I'll cover this, but a lot of this
No, I'm not really going to play Minecraft.
Kind of announcement
I did get a new game,
they really
though.
want to focus on Squadron 42 release and trying to get that out by the target of next year. So that's something they want to focus on. They also
that's
want to
very true,
deliverables,
Cosmic.
It's going to be a shorter version.
Comic-Con is ran by Wizard.
CitizenCon. So sorry, BlizzCon on the brain after saying that. So CitizenCon here will be a bit of a shorter version. There'll be fewer things going on because of the fact that it's a digital only. That doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be the possibility of possibly having, costume contests and stuff like of that nature. But I find it unlikely there'll be a lot of that, but there might be some of it.
No,
you can. So the question then is.
So I'm not trying to be a jerk to Guardian here, but this is going to be like, it's not going to be a 2-day event. This is going to be a 1-day thing. This is going to be 1 day. It's going to be 1 day. It'll probably be 10 hours long. They're going to smash in a bunch of videos and have Chris come out and wave to the crowd a couple of times. And Jared's going to make a whole bunch of really bad dad jokes. And that's really about it. Like that's it. Right?
What platforms will you find it on? So they do cover that in the Q&A. Twitch and YouTube will have it streamed, and then they mentioned they'll have it up on YouTube immediately afterwards. Myself, having used YouTube quite a bit, It's hard to say unless they just really want to upload the actual content.
I really feel that most citizen cons are a vanity thing.
That it might not be up quite immediately. There might be some sort of delay.
There'll be a
They
delay.
may have to do some editing and things of that nature, but they do mention here immediately. So it's possible, if you don't get a chance to see it live, which I usually don't.
They'll be recording it while streaming it, and then as soon as it's over, they'll post it
for it. So we'll have to wait and see what the broadcasting schedule will be, because that goes back to here. I may have to watch these, on YouTube later on, because last time it was done in UK and I wasn't up late enough or early enough.
Isn't that kind of how the old games cons were ran? They were ran at a really small venue.
So again, it'll be shorter.
That was before my time, so I don't really know.
So it just will be a condensed package. Be free to watch because it'll be available.
I've watched some of the old games con videos from back then to see what CIG said back then versus today. And those were a lot smaller, right? They didn't have, 3,000 seats and, a life-size F7C or A, whatever that was, whatever Hornet they had there. Like they didn't have all that, right? And I mean, they weren't renting out a giant convention center so that they could have a creators quarter that nobody uses. And honestly, one of the coolest things of last year's SitCon wasn't even the shit that they were showing on the screen. It was the dude that built the Lego ship and space station, and the fact that he has a girlfriend and or wife that seemed excited that he was building Lego stuff. So yeah,
available on Twitch and YouTube. That being said, on Twitch there might be quite a few ads, so YouTube might be the winner here. I mean, I'll probably be watching on YouTube. Unless I'm streaming for whatever reason by then. But yeah, the only thing with Twitch is these ads these days. That's why I'm not a big fan of that platform. I mean, I get it. They got to make money, but good Lord.
Yeah, there's a lot of ads on YouTube.
Yeah, so we don't have
Twitch.
The schedule yet. I'm sure that'll come at a later date.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a one-day thing.
Yesterday they had Citizen
one day,
so it's
maybe 12 hours at max.
More to come, and I definitely expect more to come at some later point. So what the time they'll be focusing on, they'll be focusing on Squadron 42, and they'll also be talking about...
And look, don't get me wrong here. Like, CitizenCon itself... Guys like me and most of you all watching are not going to CitizenCon. It is the extreme whale con is what it really is. Like these are people that have tons of money that have invested heavily into the game. Those are the ones that are going. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money to just travel across the country to go to LA or go overseas to Manchester to watch this shit. I don't have that kind. So yeah. You think that was wait. You think somebody was caught doxing people?
Some of the features and things of that nature that will be coming out, and I'm sure they'll have ships and all that jazz. It's just this year is just different, and I think this might have to do with currently the political climate with things right now. So possibly that's part of the reason why they're only. And I don't talk about politics on here, but it's possible that some of that stuff might have factored into their traveling and all that kinds of stuff. So yeah, again, most people don't mind. I don't personally mind either. I did want to share another
I'll save my opinion.
That's it.
Oh,
for the
really? The Lego builder guy was doxing
so
people?
Thank you all for checking out the video if that's what you're here for. From more personal standpoint, we have a couple dogs here at the house, and one of them, the name was Chimney, and he was picked up as a neighborhood stray. And
he's going to talk about his dog. Look, I encourage you to go and watch this. He's going to talk about his dog. It's not pertinent to Star Citizen. His dog has gone missing, and I encourage you guys to go and watch and give a thumbs up. But yeah, his dog went missing. So, yeah. That sucks for anybody that has pets. Have a dog go missing like that, or a cat. That's harsh, man. That's rough. I'm going to tell you guys what I said when I saw that it was going to be digital only.
God! No, God, please, no!
No! I'll tell you what I said immediately when I saw that, and it was they're running out of money. And I said they are running out of money, and they're running out of money fast. And this ties into the next video which we'll watch Commerl, because it turns out it was true. Ramoin, what's up, dude? How salty is it? I don't know. Lick the screen and find out, Ramoin. Let me know. Let me know. I said that they were losing money, and I said they were losing money fast. I said it in my Discord. I said it in the Grumpy Discord. I said it. A few people reached out and DM'd me and said, "Hey, did you see this?" And I said, "Yeah, they're losing money, and they're losing money fast." So, what's funny is that came out. When did that come out? That came out 4 days ago. 2 days later, we get the financial reports, and I'll let Commerl kind of do the talking, and we'll see what he's got to say. I would normally, Heavy Bob, but I'm starting to run up against the clock here. I shouldn't have watched that long video, but hey, mistakes were made.
Hello everyone, we have now Cloud Imperium's UK Limited financial report for 2023.
Now, mind you, this is from 2 years ago. This is not 2024. This is 2 years ago financial reports. So we can't just go off, like, you can't just look at this and be like, oh, it's only X amount of money that they're losing. You have to also take into 2024, and I'll kind of justify what I'm talking about after this.
I am not a financial expert. I found this information.
Really, Commerl doesn't do it justice. Normally, he does a really good job.
Forums. If I made a mistake, if I missed something, please leave.
Yes, it was very overdue.
Link to this document
way
is
overdue.
In my first pinned comment below. According to UK financial report, CIG got another 10 million pounds.
Let's see what he's got. CIG took out another 10 million from the Calders, raising the total to 56 million. Now, I do remember that they extended their option. This was all Reddit rumor, but a lot of this stuff is starting to make sense now, because the Calders extended their option. What we didn't know is that CIG took another $10 million from it. And the only reason why they extended their option is because CIG took more money. So, and I don't remember the percentage and all of that. I can't remember all of that. But if they pull out, they get like 165 million, right? It's something like that. The options were pushed to 2027. Okay, it was pushed to 2027. I thought it was 2028, but okay. So it's right there. 2027. It's right there. I should be looking at that. I'm looking back and forth at chat and everything. So investment is due on the 31st of December 2027. They are up against the clock to get something out that is viable. Okay. And once again, I'll let him kind of go all the way through this before I give my full opinions. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. What else do we got here? Made a net loss of 8.4 million in 2023, acquiring Turbulent. Okay, that's bad. It's not bad because they did acquire another company, and you're going to operate at a loss when you buy another company. Now, I'm not a businessman. I don't acquire businesses, and I don't sell off businesses, but you are, from everything I've ever seen, if you start buying property and you start buying other businesses, you are going to technically operate at a loss, right? It cuts into your profits. Now, I don't know how much they had in profits. I don't know what kind of overhead this puts on them. I really don't know any of that sort of thing, but it's not that big of a deal. CIG had cash reserves of 13.5 million in 2023. That's bad. Aaron Roberts got a 10% raise in 2023. He's earning 424,000 pounds. He made it, we'll just say 425. Could be Chris's and Aaron's salary combined. I doubt that. I bet you that's what each one of them makes yearly. CIG laid off around 150 people in 2024. That's very true. Todd Pappy also left. A lot of people left. A lot of very experienced people left. I said the same thing when they closed their Los Angeles studio. I said they are running out of money. That's why it got closed. The White Knights immediately told me that no, this was always the plan. This was always the plan. So there's that. Most of the backers' money went to Squadron 42 and not into Star Citizen. Chris failed the movie director financing of his interactive movie Squadron 42. And you know what? What's really funny is, let's go back to when I looked up the patents, right? I looked up the patents that they had filed for. And John Crew is still there. He's still there. He had major surgery. He's on Twitter. But when I was looking at their patents and I said, I went, this is very interesting. They filed for movie and they filed for this and they filed for that. And he filed for a movie, TV show, and multiple other things. So like a lot of this is starting to make sense. That's true, Canop. That's true. CIG situation seems to be stable, assuming they deliver Squadron 42 in 2026 or 2027, and assuming it will be a success. Remember, a lot of players already own Squadron 42. No live sitcom in 2025. So the argument that I have made is that 90%, 90 to 99, 95% of the people that are going to buy Squadron 42 already bought Squadron 42. So they got to sell a lot in order to start recouping this money.
From the Caldas, raising the total to £56 million. Caldas investment is due 31st of December 2027. CIG made a loss of £8.4 million in 2023.
And as we've all said, we don't know how much of an operating loss 8.4 million really is by acquiring that company. And we also don't know if this is reported as tax loss. We don't really know a lot, right? I should find this. And my mother is a tax accountant, and it would be interesting to go over with her and see what she's got to say. She used to do business taxes, and now she just does personal taxes. But she used to be a business tax accountant. So this would be really interesting.
Aaron Roberts got a 10% raise in 2023 to £424,493. Could be Chris and Aaron's salary combined. CIG had cash reserves of £13.5 million in 2023. CIG laid off around 150 people in 2024. Some were very experienced and cannot be easily replaced. CIG recently closed Los Angeles studio. It seems most of backers' money went into Squadron 42, not into Star Citizen. Chris, the failed move.
But server meshing is still technically tier 0 because they don't have dynamic server meshing. It's still static server meshing. So yes, they got it working, but it's not working, if that makes sense.
The director financing his interactive movie Squadron 42. CIG's situation seems to be stable, assuming they can deliver Squadron 42 in 2026 or 2027 at the latest, and assuming it will be a success. Remember, a lot of players already own Squadron 42. There won't be a lot.
I don't think, this is just my opinion. I don't have any facts to base this off of. This is just my opinion. The people that are going to buy Squadron 42 already bought Squadron 42. I don't think that Squadron 42 is going to be a big commercial success. Games like this are extremely niche. They don't have a wide audience. And we had discussed earlier, the Star Citizen community is really about 2.5 to 2.8 million people. It's a very small community, right? It's very, very small. This is not a widely known game, and the people that do know it don't know it as a good game. They know it as a scam. They know it as, that's the game where you have to buy a lot of ships. Honestly, Squadron 42 could be a financial disaster. This really could be the biggest financial disaster of all time. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, brace yourselves. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying this is prophecy, but this is what I'm saying. Brace yourselves for 2027. If this game comes out and it does not sell 50 million units, it's a flop. It's a fail. And they will not recoup their money, which means, you know, the Calders, I don't have everything that I need to know about the Calders in front of me. You know that they have dibs on X percentage of the profits, right? They have X percentage of the profits. And if they do not get what they think they are going to get, they invested $56 million. They are expecting twice that payout. If they do not get it, they are going to pull their investment. And that means $165 to $200 million goes with them. CIG cannot pay for that. That will completely crash Star Citizen into the ground. It will never recover. And they will have to either release it as is or shutter up everything. It's not going to, I'm just saying, be prepared that this could be the end. Like, these next 2 years could be the end of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Like, it could be over.
CitizenCon in 2025. Here are some of the numbers from the report. In 2022, CRG made a profit of £8.49 million. In 2023, CRG made a loss of £8.39 million. Salaries increased a lot in 2023. In 2022, this was £31.60 million. In 2023, this number increased to £53.90 million. This is why it's laid off so many people in 2024. Tax relief, tax credit. In 2022, this was £6.948 million. This number increased in 2023 to £10.785 million.
So they got tax credit. Okay, so they got, wow. Wow. Wow.
That is new because CRG acquired Turbulent tax relief of £1 million. Directors and key management personnel remuneration. This number went up from £390,775 to £424,493 in 2023. Again, I'm not sure if this is just Aaron's salary or if this is a combined salary of Aaron and Chris. Of course, no one wants Aaron or Chris to work for free, but this is a lot of money and it's a 10% increase. Again, I'm not a financial expert. If I make a mistake, please leave a comment, but looks like acquiring Turbulent cost CRG £4.33 million. Same sum here. Cash at bank and in hand went down from 20.1.
They have 18.8 million in tangible assets. That's got to be like the mocap studio and the offices. This is interesting. Their total equity is 33.3 mil. Interesting.
£159 million to £13.538 million. I understand there's no other game trying to do what Star Citizen promises us for more than 12 years by now. At least, not at the scale of Star Citizen. The idea
That's
behind Star Citizen
kind of the
is
only thing they got going for them.
fantastic. I want Star Citizen to become a great game and a huge success. However, at some point we have to stop
That's
throwing
true,
good money
Walker, they do.
after bad money. For year 13, and according to Carl Jones, $1 billion in funding so far. Chris has very little.
Yeah, that's also very concerning. So Jay, you're saying they only have 6.3 million in private investing, but Carl Jones, who was their old chief financial officer, says that they've been over $1 billion now for a while. So that means they have an additional 200 million in private investing from somewhere. Because we've invested 801 million, but they've been listen, and you have to watch this. You have to listen to what Carl Jones, their former CFO, said.
$1 billion in funding, that money for year 13, and according to Carl Jones, $1 billion in funding.
$1 billion.
Chris has very little to show for. A buggy tech demo with missing basics, missing mechanics.
Carl Jones was their former chief financial officer, and when he left, he wasn't let go. He left. He said 1 billion, which he left 4 months ago, I want to say it was. And if we were already at $1 billion, it's a big problem. That means there's more investment than what they're telling us, whether it's private or other companies, which once again means, I'm going to go back to saying this, if Squadron 42 flops, people will pull the investment, which means there will be no money left for them to operate. They'll have nothing. They'll maybe get on another year, but that is it. That is all they'll get. And that means one of two things. Either A, the game gets released as is, and they keep a skeleton crew, and that's all we get, and we get little updates here and there, or it shutters up completely. So, and once I figured out that Squadron 42 was a separate game, and that a lot of money had gone into just Squadron 42, that everything, the future of Star Citizen, the future of the PU, all hangs on Squadron 42. All of it. If this fails, it's over. I'm telling you, it's over. Okay? So I'm hoping that Squadron 42 does well. What's up, JT? I'm hoping it does well, but I have no illusions in my head that it's going to sell 50 plus million units, right? Because you got to remember, most people that bought it or most people that want to buy it have already bought it through backing. It's going to get interesting fast.
Mechanics, boring and repetitive gameplay, time sinks on top of time sinks. CRG cannot even give us a decent UI, item interaction and inventory system in year 13, something much smaller studios, even indie studios, can do. All because for Chris it is cinematic over everything else. Chris is still prioritizing eye candy, fluff, time sinks and cool cinematic. Chris still neglects basics, basic mechanics, some very basic physics, good code, fun and interesting gameplay. Chris, CRG never have a plan, never think in advance, never think things through. My way or the highway. People who have their own opinion and dare to challenge Chris.
I think that's why Todd Pappy...
And how do you get ideas out of Chris's head?
Yeah,
I think
Chris
that's what happened to
pretty
Todd
much
Pappy.
surrounded himself with yes men.
I don't think Todd Pappy was asked to move to Manchester and he said, no, I'll quit because I can't move because my family and everything. I think he was asked to leave. That's what I said. That's what my thinking is. Yeah, I've heard that, Walker. See, and I'll get into it more here.
As long as Chris is making the decisions, nothing will ever improve. I have no faith in Chris and CIG's leadership anymore. If CIG doesn't release a good Squadron 42 in 2027 at the latest, this will be over. CIG has dreams about 1.0 release with just 5 star systems, with missing basics, missing mechanics, almost
I'm
no
letting him cook
physics,
here.
and only a very few aliens like, for example, Vikilo. There won't even be NPC crews in 1.0.
The problem is, Walker, is will they
hasn't
work?
Even finished the flight model and ship
Because right
combat
now,
in
most of the stuff they
13.
release
This
does
is
not work immediately,
unbelievable.
and it requires
For so
hot
much
fixes
money
or even
and
3
so
months
much
before
time.
it works
if
right.
CIG really releases a bare-bones Star Citizen 1.0 in the next 5 years, there
That's
will be
also true,
hundreds
Kana.
of videos and articles. Where did the money go? $1.2 billion for that? Is this a joke?
It's not hard to
CIG
get
will
visas.
still be okay if they deliver a
It's not hard to
good
get a work
Squadron
visa.
42 in 2026 or 2027, but it has to make a lot of money. It has to be a huge success. Wait and see if there's real improvement. Stop throwing good money after bad money. Remember, 2025, the year of stability, playability, and bug fixing.
There is
So
no
far, we see nothing of
playability,
this
stability,
in
and back fixing.
2025.
There's been
CIG has
0.
9 more months. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye. Does he got a bonus? He does got a bonus. He's always got a bonus. We're going to watch the bonus.
Remember this? Letter from a Sherman, December 2024, 2025.
Look, I'm going to let him go, but this is a joke right here.
A focus on playability. As we jump into the new year,
Oh,
our
I
primary
bet
focus
too,
across
Walker.
our
I bet they were all
Star Citizen teams is
canned.
Clear, improving playability. Our drive for playability surrounds 3 critical areas: performance, stability, and content. A lot of people thought, fantastic, they are finally working on playability. That's so nice. And then I saw this on Spectrum. The epiphany we've had is, okay, we need to focus on how the game plays now. We've got to improve the quality of life. We got to improve the
2018,
user experience. Chris Roberts
2020,
CitizenCon
2021.
2018. This means
And then
more
they
than
didn't
6
say any
years ago,
20
Chris already played
Yeah,
this card.
and then
Sure that
2020.
the gameplay right
5,
now
they
is
said it.
polished. We're not there yet, but we are definitely working towards that every single release.
Of course, we are only 3
Yep.
months in. CIG has 9 more months to work on stability, playability, and bug fixing in 2025. I wonder if this will fall flat like so many other promises.
Oh, it's already falling
CitizenCon
flat.
2023. We hit an inflection point. Yeah.
One of the real reasons why we wanted to show you this CitizenCon is because we've hit an inflection point on a lot of the features.
Okay, we didn't see anything about hitting an inflection point.
Okay. I kind of want to do a reaction to my own damn video about the 2023 sitcon and sit here and go 2 years later, I fucking told you so. I told you all. I told you so. And I want to feel good about it, but it's not going to work that way. All the freaking people that don't like me, don't like Grumpy, don't like gem reviews, and don't like that I have critical or negative things to say about Star Citizen, they're all going to come back and defend it, and it'll be the most downvoted video I've ever done, like that one was. And they refuse to accept the reality that is presented to them on a silver platter, shoved in their faces, and they just don't want to accept it. I have no regrets in the fact that most of the money that I put into this game is probably going to go away. It's never going to amount to anything, and it's a very serious risk that I may never even get the game. So
in 2024 and in 2025 so far. Hey, you are still here. You might want to join me on Blue Sky.
okay, that was it. So I'll share this with you guys. I got to get going because my kids are coming, but I want to give you my thoughts on what's going on. And I meant to do this earlier, but I overslept this morning. So this is, let me give you my thoughts as to what's going on here. Star Citizen has been in financial trouble since early 2023, maybe a little bit prior to that. Okay. And the reason why I say that is look at the amount of ships that they said they would never sell that ended up being sold in 2023. Look at the amount of new ships they are pushing out this year, right? So, and it's all ships that people have been asking for a very long time. The Golem, the Misk Fortune, right? They're pushing out what players have been asking for a long time, right? They know the Atlas, that if you don't think the original Atlas was a cash money grab, then you're out of your mind. It definitely was. They nerfed or adjusted the tractor beams and then 2 days later released the Atlas. And then they went, oh, everybody loves the Atlas. Let's make the Geo. That'll sell like hotcakes. And it did, right? I think they're hurting real bad for money. I think they're hurting really, really, really bad for money. And they're going to keep marketing and selling as many ships as fast as they can. As fast as they can, because they need that money. They need it badly. They need it badly. And it's showing. I think it was Jim that asked if it's 2026 is a make or break year. I want to say the make or break year is 2026, 2027. They have until, when is the best time to put out a game? Either late spring or in the fall, right? Why late spring? Well, because you got all summer, kids are off school, you can make a lot of money doing that sort of thing because, as I said, the kids are all out of school. They can play your video game. They're going to ask for it, and parents are going to get it for them just so that they have an extra babysitter in the house, right? Things like that. In the fall, you put it out in the late fall, so that way you can get the Black Friday deals. You know, people are buying it for Christmas. The Christmas money comes in after Christmas. People are continuing to buy it going into the new year. So I would say they have from late spring 2026 till the fall of 2027 to get later, Mr. E Blaze. I think they have until that fall to get out Squadron 42, and it has to be a hit. It cannot be mediocre. It cannot be, shit. It has to be a hit. It has to be a huge, huge, huge success. And I just don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be. And as I said, that they have from late spring of 2026 going into the fall of 2027 to get this out. They do. And Cannot makes a good point. Kids are not lined up to play Star Citizen, right? The average male 14 to 28 years old that want to play video games and play video games at a high rate, they're not going to be buying this game. It's games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends, fast-paced, high-octane games. They don't want to play a movie. And if you watched the hour-long trailer they did at SitCon last year, it is a interactive movie. That's what it is. It's an interactive movie. And right, they want GTA, right? You know, everybody, when I talk about, this is going to be my last point before I sign off. When I start talking about financials for Star Citizen, and I say they surpassed $1 billion, everybody's like, well, you know, GTA is going to spend $2 billion by the time, $2.2 billion by the time it comes out. Yeah, you're right. They are going to spend $2.2 billion on that game. And you want to know what's funny? Is in 3 days, I guarantee you they make $2 billion. I bet you within a month, they surpass $3.5 billion. And I guarantee you within 6 months, they'll be at close to $4.5-5 billion. That's how it's going to be. Like like in 6 months, they are going to make $5 billion, and essentially 3 billion of it is all profit. It's all profit. So I don't want to like, but CIG made $1 billion, but GTA is gonna they did $2 billion to make their game. Yeah, and they're gonna make it all back in a day. I believe their team, I mean, obviously it's been in flux, but yes, they have a team of about I think 1,500 is about where it stays. But I mean, like I said, you know, it's ebb and flow. It's been in development for 10 years. No, 11 years. I don't remember the exact thing, but it's been in development for like 11 years. So anyways, that's all I got to say for today. Please join me tomorrow. I don't know what time. I'm going to do some rock mining tomorrow if I can get my damn joysticks working again. And we're going to see if it's worth doing as a new player or even as a veteran player. And we'll go from there, right? We'll see if it works and if we can make a lot of money. We know where hand mining ended up at, so I guess it can only go up from there, right? So guys, thank you so much. So long. Thanks for all the fish. Thank you all very much for being here. It's awesome chatting and hanging out with you guys. Appreciate you all, and see you guys in the next one.